Yo, what's up, fellow bike racers? It's Chad Shanks, aka Bike-Geek. We are taking a look at the June, I think it was 3rd Gambler Crit, which is the second of a series. So the Gambler Crit is a series, so we are racing for the overall. And we got rained out 2 weeks ago or last week or whenever it was. And so this is kind of the reset button. We're giving it a go again right before Tulsa Tough. And we got a lot of teams represented in the field, and it's a sold-out field again. So getting the race started here, you can see I got a pretty bad lineup. The game was we're going to animate early. We're going to put some riders on the defense, hopefully, real quick. Actually, if you look to my right, the rider that we're most concerned with, most of y'all already know. Dempsey Cifuentes, his uncle is Emerson, and these guys are super strong, and Dempsey is the one that's the biggest threat to us in the series. He's got Cat 1 level strength. Emerson's pretty much right there with him, and we can't let him go, so we want to try to put them on the defense early. So the game was, let's animate early, but as you can see, being back here in the back of the pack, I'm obviously not able to do that. Right in front of me is Aaron. He also kind of got a bad lineup, and Troy's with us, but he is not in his kit because he forgot his kit. So he's the guy that's going to be in the shorts and white t-shirt. So of course we're going to continue to make fun of him for that as much as possible. So I've got to figure out a way to get to the front pretty quickly, and that way, because we do not want to let this slip away. Dempsey's got the kind of fitness that if he gets away solo, he can hold it for the whole race, and that's Emerson right in front of me, which I believe Emerson's his uncle, I want to say, or cousin, I forget. Dempsey told me at one point in time. Sorry guys, I forgot. Definitely not letting him out of our sights either. So Will is the guy that we're trying to set up. So we aren't going to be happy until we can get him into a breakaway. So we're going to cover. If we get in a break, we're not going to work. And we're going to hopefully make whoever we're in the break with work. So like I said, sold out field today, and the teams that are represented today are going to include Bike Lab, the Flyers, Team Center, Tulsa Wheelman, Hodges Bend, Topeka, Pentabike, Sound Pony, and of course us, Neighborhood. We've got Will, myself, Troy, and Aaron in the field. And so, of course, Will's got to be ready to go. He knows who the key players are. There's a Wheelman rider we got to watch, and then, of course, we need to watch Dempsey. And if he's not in that move, then we've got to basically stall it out, essentially. So I'm going to make a move to get up towards the front here, and I see an opportunity. I wouldn't say we're going slow, but I'm going to jump up, like 40 wheels, and be very cautious about taking my inside line. You can see now I'm on Will's wheel, and then here's another kind of dark horse, Milo. He's super fit. He did really well in the KRG crits last weekend in Dallas, so we also definitely want to be mindful of him. He's a pretty good rider. He's proven himself pretty recently, so definitely want to watch him. So now we're just going to kind of patrol the front. We see a couple riders off the front there, so we're just keeping a mindful eye. You see the lead moto making the first turn, 2 riders off, and just kind of watch closely. So to my right is Dempsey. That's who I'm most concerned with. He's the one that's the actual threat. It's early in the race. We're only about 4 minutes in right now, so here we go, right? And I can see he is making a move to the right. Pretty sneaky, but I look up, and so is Will making a move to the left. So they are kind of making a move almost at the same time. This is perfect. There they go, attacking. But there's some followers pretty much immediately. So I'm going to try to let myself not fall too much to the back of the pack. Keep an eye towards the front of the race and make sure that they either stick it, or if they come back, be ready for a counter. So it looks like it's pretty much single file, and we are going to kind of just keep it rolling here. So this race was pretty hard for me. I burned a lot of matches. I had a normalized power of 319 for this race, which was the same as the 1-2-3 race. So I am watching now, and I see that we've got a threat up the road. That looks like it might be Dempsey. I'm seeing it now for the first time since I've uploaded it. So, but whoever it is, I definitely feel like it's a threat. So I'm going to go full in. You can see my heart rate. For me, I'm 41 years old. 174 is hurting me pretty badly. So we're doing near 30 miles an hour, but I've just got to drag race this back. Now I did have a rear camera on, but I'm not savvy enough to edit that software yet. But one thing that was actually surprising to me when I looked in the rear cam, so I don't look behind my shoulder very often. I do, but we actually ended up in breakaways probably 6 or 7 times through this race. And those breakaways would have stuck more than likely if we would have been cohesive and working together. So that is Dempsey. I was correct. And I'm going to close to him and hopefully neutralize him. And we want him to come back to the pack. I'm looking behind me to see, is the pack coming? We're not. They're not. We're off. So I take an opportunity to kind of put a knife in his side, so to speak, which I'm doing to myself as well. He's like half my age, maybe even less. And but he just made a big move, and now he's going to be forced to chase. So it's going to hurt him just about as much as it's hurting me right now. And again, I'm not setting myself up in this race. We're trying to set up Will, so that's okay. Normally, I would never do that. So I'm just going to drill it and keep the speed high and make it hard for the chasers. While hopefully Will's able to sit on and just follow Will's at this point. So, yeah, it's pretty brutal here. Also, these turns, there was a lot of people cramming brake and taking sketchy lines. You didn't have to do that. I was definitely able to get some recovery through these corners, which was nice. And you could pedal. I did scrape my pedal one time going through that turn, pushing it a little too hard. But it was pretty clear, and if you just stay cool, you can usually make it through there pretty clean. All right, so now I'm just kind of waiting because I'm sure that there's going to be a counterattack at some point, but we are still rolling at this point. So I'm looking back and seeing if these guys want to commit to a breakaway or not. If they do, then I'm just going to sit on. If not, then I'm still just going to sit on. So it's always safer in the front than it is in the back. So looks like the reshuffle is now occurring. This turn for me, turn 4, was specifically hard. Man, you can pedal through that whole thing with high amounts of power. And here goes Dempsey again. I can see after having looked back earlier that Troy and Aaron are kind of out of pocket. They're not ready to jump, so I got to go with that again, even though my heart rate's ultra high. So here we go again. And that center rider in front of me is, it should be his responsibility to close that gap. He jumped, and it's brutal for me because I got no snap right now. So I'm just trying to cheat these turns as best as possible and then get up there and just drag race it back. I'm looking behind me to see kind of what the story is. I gotta go. It's falling apart on the front, so I cannot let this go, and I don't have any teammates coming through. And Will was not in position to go with that, so I've got to drag these guys back again. You can see my heart rate is like, I'm dying, man. Like anything over 169 for me is like super hard. I wanted to hit this turn first so I could go all out, not touch the brakes. And I'm looking up ahead of me, and man, that looks like a country mile to me. But that's the number one danger right there. I can't let that go. So I'm gonna have to really commit and try my best to get up there to him, and just hope to goodness that we can pull him back. So like I said, he's the kind of rider that if you let him go, he's gone. I mean, he will check out. So as you can see, he's just about to do at this moment. So got to pretty much commit, and thankfully here comes some other riders now. I believe that's Blake Kingfisher. I'm not really sure where he's from, but you can always recognize him by the Samson-like ponytail. He's a pretty big dude, got some big power for sure. Looking under my shoulder like, man, please, 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 somebody come through. I am hurting. And thankfully there goes Will. And Will is on the right move, so that works out well for me. I get to be absorbed a little bit because I am definitely hurting. And now a little chance for recovery, so which I'm very grateful for at this moment in time. So being in the pack, going through turns 3 and 4, actually all the turns out here, honestly, is not really my favorite because you're touch and brake a little bit, which is always just kind of the case when you're inside of a pack. But that's definitely the difference between the faster ride and this ride, is that you're going to be more on the brake, which can actually make this ride in some ways, oddly, a little bit more difficult. And the 1, 2, 3 race is usually pretty much single file most of the time, so you're rarely on the brake and you're always looking for that extra pedal stroke. My normalized power is actually higher in this race than it was in the 1, 2, 3. In the 1, 2, 3, because we were so tired, I think I only had a normalized at 286 versus 319 in the 3, 4 race. And that's likely because, and somebody can comment if they feel otherwise, but that's likely because of the undulations in speed. You can see when we hit the straightaways in this, the numbers will just jump up into the 7s and 800s and even close to 1,000 sometimes. And then you'll go back to 0. So it's big differential in power there. So from 0 to boom, there's 830 just out of turn 3, 0, and then back on the gas again. 900 and something. So just a lot of just slingshot yo-yo riding for sure. So about a mile per hour average difference between the 2 races. I think in this one we averaged almost 27, and in the 1, 2, 3 race we averaged almost 28. So speed's almost exactly the same. The difference is we're just not touching the brakes as much in the 1, 2, 3 race, which I do have the footage on that one, but I have footage but not time right now, so that'll have to come later. So I'm just sitting on, hoping to goodness that brake will stick so that we can kind of just settle into a rhythm. But at this point it's pretty much single file, and you can see it bunching up at the front. That's an alarm bell for me because that usually means there's going to be a counter attack. So I got to be looking up, seeing what's happening. I can definitely see Will has come back to the pack, and now there's a split off the front. So that's dangerous because our man is not in that. This is the move I believe that Aaron Wright actually made it into, our other teammate. So he was ready to jump, and I'm super thankful for that move because that certainly helped. It was one less move that we had to cover, and now that gives me and Will the opportunity to sit in and mark Dempsey and Emerson again and make sure that they don't sneak away and make it up into that break. So I'm moving up on the right. There are cones up here. Kind of get pinched a little bit. Everyone's starting to set up. No big deal. Just ease off the gas. Don't panic. Get through the turn. There's Will. I want him to slot in right in front of me. And that breakaway is not really gaining too much traction, so we're not super worried at this point. But Will does sense some danger up the road. There is movement going on, so he's going to follow wheels for sure. And I'm just going to sit right here. So still at a pretty high heart rate. Basically after those big matches that got burned early on, I don't know that I ever fully recovered from those. So at this point, I'm really hoping that he can get in a move and we can start setting up for the field sprint. But as it turns out, a little bit of bunching at the front, and that usually means that a big move's coming. And just like we thought, it's a dangerous one. So can't really make a move going into turn 1. Oh, guess I can. So I see it, no one's responding, so I jump hard, kind of fully commit to that turn at 25 miles an hour, fully commit to this straightaway. I don't want him to get away. And again, I can't reiterate, if you let Dempsey get away, he will be gone. He's got a really high FTP, so he can really TT off the front of the field. So I want to fully commit again. You see the heart rate shoot up to 174, 175, and finally, thank goodness, it's starting to wear on him a little bit. So I'm able to close the gap to him and shut him down one more time. Now this is going to be a dangerous moment right here, because one of the strongest riders in the field is getting tired, and I'm definitely getting tired. So this is a move, and this is where Emerson, boom, right there, came on my inside. Real smart move on his part. Milo was smart to watch him, and then Will goes. And when I see that move happen right there, just from the racing I've done, I thought, that's a good move. I don't know if it'll stick, but that's a pretty solid move, because the other big horsepower has come back. That was a really, really hard effort. We're far enough into the race. We're about 16 minutes into the race that normally at this point, people are starting to get kind of worn down. And like I thought, there's some separation. So it's still unlikely at this point that it's going to stick, but that separation is a promising look. That means that if that move doesn't work, likely one of the next couple are going to. So Aaron's ready to pounce, just in case. He's following the proper wheel, and he knows who to be looking for, and so he's on it, and he's ready to go. But at this point, we're just hoping that we can get something established, and it looks like that one's not necessarily going to be the one. So, reshuffle the deck, and who's going to go next? I'm a little bit concerned at this point, because I was a little bit nervous that Will was putting himself out there, kind of dangling off the front. He, on our group rides, has been known to get off and away and hold it for 45 minutes by himself solo, so I'm not concerned about his strength, but I'm worried about him getting caught by surprise. So to be honest, so now I'm going to take an opportunity again, like we said earlier, put them on the defense. So they're going to be forced to chase, and that's going to allow Will to follow. Thankfully, since Will was putting himself out there, I saw the opportunity that I needed to be the one on the attack, not him, not another team, and it worked. It drew out Dempsey and this other rider that turned out to be pretty dadgum strong. And now that we're drawn out and we are off the front here, now I can just sit on. So that's going to cause a chase in the peloton, and hopefully Will, since he was kind of dangling off the front, will get a chance to recover. So I'm going to slot back in behind Dempsey, because there's no reason for me to pull at this point. I do not want to help them. I am not in contention for the overall, so I'm going to sneak in behind this wheel and not take my pull. My whole goal here was to just mess it up as much as possible, in a kosher way. Like, there's definitely some jerk ways of doing that. I don't know what a better way to say it is, but I wanted to put them off the front on the attack, and then my best bet at this point is to sit on, because, like I said, I'm not in contention for the overall, and hopefully a chase group will be coming, or a counter attack, and hopefully, if that happens, will be in that. So moving over to the side so that I can keep an eye on what's going on. And there goes Dempsey again. So he's known for this. He will attack and then just attack right over the top again. And it does work for him sometimes. But and I know to be watching out for it because it's worked against me several times. And so, but like I said, you give him a half lap and he's gone. So I'm going to cover that again. I don't want to because my heart rate's definitely at max for sure. But I'm going to have to get on that wheel, bring him back. And sorry, Dempsey, I know that's super frustrating. But I cannot let that go. And if he gets off the front and Will is not there, then he's going to put some points on that we won't be able to make up in the last race. So I'm going to sit on, and unfortunately for him, I'm not going to pull through. And there goes Will. Very sneaky, cunning move right there. Perfectly timed. That's Emerson. That's on his wheel. Alarm bells should definitely be going off for other riders, which they are, if they're paying attention to the series. So that's a good counter move to Will's move. They know to be watching. Let's see, nope, not right there, but. Eventually, I forget how far into the race we were. It seemed like it was never going to happen, but eventually a breakaway does occur. And I got to watch. There goes Dempsey again. Will just went on the attack, so he's not ready to go. So I got to go with that again. And I'm not really sure where Troy is at this point. I think grinding into those cargo shorts that he was wearing and starting to wear on his taint a little bit. So he's tired. Definitely I've got to get up there. So another big move. I'm not really sure how many times this makes that Dempsey's attacked, but it's got to be some kind of crit record. I know that you can definitely see at my heart rate that I am really, really ready to quit doing this. So. And this Tulsa Willman, I believe, is also in points contention, so definitely need to watch him as well. At this point, I am glad to get any help I can. And as we go through this turn, thankfully he's not putting a lot of ground on us. We're getting a little closer. I was really glad that this rider came through. So normally a move like that, Dempsey's going to be able to just stick it, but he is getting a little tired at this point. So not as concerned with him getting a little bit of a gap. As the races wear on and attacks are going, the racing becomes a little bit more slow motion. So you're not as concerned with closing the gap in 2 seconds as you are just getting there eventually. Because everyone's snap is starting to get a little weaker typically. So I'm just going to sit on and neutralize this move. Now we do have to watch that Willman rider. But Willman rider, honestly, wouldn't have been a terrible idea for him to kind of gas it and go with that right there. Now he was probably tired, but this move is definitely, I think this might actually be the one that sticks. I can't remember, but we're 24 minutes into the race, so I think this was a 35-minute race, I want to say. So for sure, if there's going to be a breakaway, it's going to happen anytime now, and I think this may have been the time. So yeah, they've got some momentum now. So if any teams are not represented at this point, now I don't know exactly how many were in the breakaway. I do know that there was more than we were comfortable with, but at this point, I was so tired there was really nothing else I could do to counter or to do anything about getting another rider up there. So we're just going to have to play it. Play the content card and just be happy with our guy that, being up there, the one that we were hoping to get in the breakaway move. So we're going to call that kind of a success and just hope that it sticks. And you can see that there's another couple of riders that are making kind of a Hail Mary move to get across. And I think they got across. It was a little tough for me to see, as you can. I can't see through the pack super well, but I think they did make an attachment. So probably most teams are going to be represented at this point. So there's not going to be a lot of cooperation from the pack usually once that's the case. So chances are that that's likely going to stick. Now at this point, I'm doing some quick math in my head. I know that Will had finished second in the first race. And they give points, I believe, through 10 riders. So there's less than that in the breakaway. So worst case scenario, Will gets last out of that break, which we don't want. But even if he does, he's going to get points, and he's likely, if he doesn't retain the lead or move into the lead, he's still going to be in very close contention going into the last race. So we got our fingers crossed at this point, and hopefully it works out for him. But it's definitely a little bit risky. If we had a little more horsepower on the team, hint, hint, to other riders who are in the video right now, then we likely could have set up a situation where we could have gotten a second guy in the move, which would have been super beneficial for us. There's Troy. He's now moving up. But it was not the case, so we just had to kind of play our cards the way they were dealt for sure. So, and Troy bought the Aero bike. He's got the Aero wheels. He's got the fast tires, but he is losing about 47 watts of aerodynamic drag right now. So he's having to overcome that drag, and so he's having a little bit of a tough time today for sure. Also, since he's not wearing the technical fabric, he's also not able to wick away sweat as expediently, so I believe his sweat rate has now gone up tenfold as well. So Troy, you probably should have had another water bottle on your bike. So since we got the breakaway established now, you can see them now exiting the turn, or entering turn 3. I'm going to try my best to stay near the front or somewhere in that vicinity and cover any flyers, any heroes that might feel like they need to get across to it, if I can, obviously. You can see now that I'm not having to cover riders over and over and over. My heart rate's now creeped down to around 159, 160, which is definitely much more sustainable for me. We got Dempsey in the field with us, and that's right where we want him. He's making another move, so I just thought I was going to get a break, but I got to go with. Thankfully, it didn't go very far, because I am super tired at this point. And I think this might be the turn. Nope, not that one. We get to see someone go off-road and around the dumpster here in a little while. It may have already happened, honestly. So you can see the power's not spiking out of the turns like it was. There's some hesitation on the pools. So looks like there's a lot of people who are probably content at this point with not chasing super hard. So Troy's going to move up to the front to try to police anything that might be going across as well. And just kind of keep a watchful eye. I can definitely tell you at this moment, I've never been so glad that a breakaway has been gone, and now I can just sit in. But sitting in this field, honestly, is still not super easy. I mean, we're doing 30 right now. My heart rate's still 163, 164. We've got an acceleration going again. Somebody's going to try to make it go for it. I got to tell you, I'm not really sure who it is, honestly, but you definitely need to know yourself in this moment. We've got a breakaway gone, and they are working together. So if you're going to make a go for it, you need to think about: do I really have it in me to basically solo for about 2 to 4 laps at above FTP, because that's what it's going to take to get across. So you got to be really honest with yourself, and if you don't have that, then you likely need to work something out with somebody and make it happen real fast, because seconds are ticking by. Riders who are going for it, you see a solar rider up there. Let's watch. Let's see if he makes it across or if he gets absorbed by the pack again. So it's a really, really tough effort to make it solo across, but you do have to go for it. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right? So more power to him, and he may make it. So he might have been sitting in this whole time and just be super fresh. So that is always a possibility, but we'll watch and see. Well, I got to give it up for whoever that is. They are still just dangling out there right now. Looks like they may even be putting some time on us. So whoever it is definitely fully committed, because it's not like we're really slowing down much at all. There's been a little bit of hesitation, but overall we're still pretty much on the gas. But because there are a lot of people with some representation up the road, there's not a whole lot of commitment to really get on the front and just drive it super hard. So if they've got the fitness to do it, they may make it across, but it looks like, let's see, we'll probably be able to see through this turn. It looks like they got absorbed. So, yeah, so kind of brutal. You put yourself out there, you got to give it a go, but did not work. So at this moment in time, your best bet's going to be to try to get in a 2 or 3 man chase group, and that way you got at least a moment of recovery. This is the kind of effort right now that really 1 or 2 beats per minute on your heart rate can make quite a difference in recovery. So it's always nice to be off it with at least one. There goes Aaron into the ditch. So he wanted to see if he could put his bike in 4-wheel drive. Thankfully, he came out okay, but that did put an end to his race. So now it's just down to Will, myself, and Troy. So 3 of us left, and I'm really hoping now that Troy's got some legs left for the field sprint. So I'm hoping to either lead him out or that we can work it out at this point. Troy's got a pretty good snap, honestly, and he always knows he's a really savvy racer, so I do expect that he'll find his way to the front by the end of the race. So I'm just going to sit up here and try to police it and hope that he's watching closely. That's the break up there entering turn 3, so you can see they've got a pretty good gap, but it's not so far that I'm not worried about it. I'm definitely a little bit concerned with, 1, the composition of it. It's a little bigger than we'd like it to be, and 2, that their gap is not quite as pronounced as I would prefer it to be. So I do have to feel a little bit concerned about anyone who's going to try to make a jump across. So if that's looking like a threat, I'm still at the point where I'm going to have to go with it. And honestly, if 4 or 5 people got motivated on the front of this, there's still enough time. Although the clock is running out, a full level commitment could actually bring them back, depending on the cooperation that's going on in the breakaway right now. So I am definitely concerned. So I'm going to stay near the front and hopefully stay safe. And I'm really hoping that I'll see Troy. So. And for some reason I did data sync this part of the video clip, but here we go, we're on the last lap. So I tell Troy jump now, and this is perfect because I know that I can open up a gap for him going into turn 3, but check this out. This is last lap, and we're like, oh no, so we go down to 16 miles an hour. It totally ruins the sprint for us. It was a perfect setup. He dive bombed into turn 3, so now I got to scrap whatever I can at this point, and hold on to it. And of course, it's a pandemonia. I think that's Malachi that comes through. Very, good move on his part. He made it through clean. Thankfully, no one crashed, but